Time now for a look at some of the day's business news. France 24's Cole Stangler joining us on the set. Hello to you, Cole. Beginning today with the G7 finance ministers meeting in London today, and they're really trying to hammer out a way about the way corporations are taxed around the world.
Yeah, it's a two-day summit hosted by the UK. Also the first in-person meeting among the group since the pandemic began. On the agenda, a plan to raise more revenue from the world's largest companies. While the Trump administration's stance was lukewarm at best, the push for an international tax overhaul has gotten a big boost from U.S. President Joe Biden. It involves two major pieces. James Messina here takes a closer look at what they are and what's to come.
It'll be the first in-person meeting among the G7 group since the COVID-19 pandemic began. And as finance ministers head to London, at the top of the agenda is finding a way of increasing taxes on the world's biggest businesses, with the hope of gaining ground in the fight against price discrimination. Their talks will be based around two main ideas. First, a proposal made by the United States to bring in a global minimum tax of at least 15%, a move supported by the likes of France, Germany and the IMF. Also on the table is basing this taxation rate on where a corporation makes its sales, a massive step forwards, considering that current laws partly allow companies to file taxes on where they're based. And in the back of many minds is making sure that online companies like tech giants Amazon, Google or Facebook aren't left out of the deal.
What we certainly need is progress on the taxation of the large digital platform companies. We have discussed different ways of achieving this. From an economic point of view, and on an international level, the fight against the pandemic is a perfect example of something that wasn't carried out on the same level across the world. That's why we need to ensure that everything we have achieved so far is secured for the future.
Ahead of today's meeting, France, Germany, Italy and Spain's finance ministers called this approach fairer and more efficient, questioning the integrity of today's system that allows some of the most profitable companies to get away with parting with only a fraction of their earnings. The leaders of the G7 countries will be meeting in the south of England next week. The proposal could then be put forward at a G20 summit in July.
And next up, Cole, the Biden administration adding 28 Chinese firms to a Trump-era blacklist, barring American investors from buying or selling their stocks.
Yeah, really an effort to cut off their access to U.S. capital. Once the order takes effect in August, it'll mean that 59 companies in total are on the list. The group includes Huawei, China Mobile Limited, and the CoStar Group. The executive order cites alleged ties to China's military, which could pose a national security risk, though Beijing has often denied those allegations in the past. Let's take a look now at Friday's trading action. European indexes all hovering around the flat line to start the day. Shares for French media Vivendi up just slightly. That's after it confirmed it was in talks to sell part of its holdings in Universal Music Group. Investors in Europe also looking forward to the latest monthly jobs figures coming out of the U.S. Those will be announced later in the day. Meanwhile, major Asian indexes, mostly negative territory, losses in Tokyo, Seoul, and Hong Kong. Alibaba shares holding just about even on the Hang Seng. That's after its affiliate Ant Group got the thumbs up from Chinese authorities to operate a consumer finance company.
Meanwhile, global food prices on the rise.
Yeah, these figures were released Thursday, but they're pretty staggering. Prices growing at their fastest monthly rate in over a decade, according to the United Nations. The UN's Food Price Index tracks a range of food products from cereals and meat to sugars and dairy products. That index up some 6% in May. That's the biggest month-on-month gain since 2020. Also, as you can see there now it's a whopping 40% higher level than it was at the same period last year. At its highest overall level, that food index since 2011. Among the prime factors for the hike in costs, growing demand and a production backlog with disruptions to supply being felt around the world.
All right, thank you very much, Cole.